Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions Podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy. Using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to create and preserve more wealth, exit highly appreciated assets, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax, and get timing back on your side. My name is Brett Swartz, and each and every episode, we're joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and business minds in the world, where they share the ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of Florida. He is an experienced and successful leader in creating new businesses, capital formation, finance, branding, sales, marketing, launching innovative products, and developing strategic partnerships and initiatives that drive revenue and shareholder value. Over 20 years of executive leadership experience with promising public and privately held companies in the areas of sports medicine, orthopedics, biologics, wearables, health and wellness, e-commerce, and so much more. He's actually a good friend of mine now, and I'm excited to have him on the show. Greg Downey. Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you making time.
Absolutely. Great to see you and spend some time with you and introduce you to some of the listeners. And for those listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Sure. Story. Well, I grew up in life sciences. I met a gentleman that was in medical sales shortly after I got out of college, and I had no idea that was a career that you could pursue. Being in the OR, teaching doctors new procedures, making money doing it, work from home, is all kind of good stuff. So I pressured myself and harassed one of the recruiting managers for Johnson & Johnson. He finally took me up on the offer, and I was able to start within a startup of J&J. So that was kind of the catalyst of my career. I got a sample for what it was like to do a startup, and just got pulled into the .com during that in the late 90s as a venture back with Kleiner Perkins, Sequoia, got into mobile computing as a spin out of a university, and just kind of stayed in that realm. I think once you play in that area and you're successful, you're blessed enough to be pulled into other ones. And last company we did was a pediatric orthopedic implant company. It went public in 2017. I helped raise capital for them. That's where I learned how to raise money, starting in 2007. And just been really fixing and building companies. We launched Perm in 2010, really as a way to form these micro companies around physicians, PhDs, really smart, busy people with great ideas that didn't want to walk away from their day job, that had too much going on, but they didn't want to hire a full CFO or CEO. And so we would form these tactical teams and take the venture from here to here very, very rapidly. And a lot of times it involves, capital. So we've had a lot of good successes, and we run a mastermind to help entrepreneurs kind of own and run the whole capital raising process, blow out their network with family offices and investors. And so we keep our hands busy. We have a portfolio of companies, and really kind of serving, fixing, building companies behind the scenes is kind of our name of the game.
Amazing. And by the way, you can learn more about Greg Downey by going to permventures.com. That's PURIM ventures.com. So let's dive right into the topic at hand, which is the art of raising capital for startups. So Greg, what is the number one secret to raising capital for startups?
Getting to the point, really. Time and time again, I work with probably a dozen entrepreneurs on a monthly basis. It's you kind of get out of your own way, get out of your own head. And it's not meaning disrespect at all. It's just, look, you work with entrepreneurs as well. It's like sometimes when you're so entrenched in the process, you've got too much information. And I could see a lot of really good deals fall flat. They get this isn't a good time, or it's not a good fit, or it just doesn't really land with the investor. And I know you do a lot of angel investing. You look at a lot of deals. So they got to take themselves out of the picture and put themselves in the feet, or the shoes rather, of an investor, and realize what they need to hear quickly, concisely. And so we're really able to kind of rip through these different companies and find what the gems are, what resonates, bring that to the top. Then we look at valuation, structure, investment, all the other pieces. But probably the most underlying issue that we find out with entrepreneurs is they've just been so deep in the trenches with their own thing for too long, and they just can't see the forest through the trees, and they need help objectively. And that's where we can add a lot of value.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Getting to the point and getting out of your own way. And yeah, you're right. When you're entrepreneurs and you're geeking out with it every single day, you tend to be on a different frequency, if you will, right? With it. And this naturally, it just naturally happens. You don't even see it happening, it's happening. And so understanding how to get back on the other frequency to communicate, especially as it comes to capital raising, marketing, right? Or going to market or expanding or scaling, like they're different frequencies that have to be pitched at a different tone. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I mean, there's a lot of little pieces, that kind of go into it. Their data room structure, evaluation, all those type of things. Is it a good investment? That's an important factor. But yeah, it's really zeroing in on what needs to be said is oftentimes the underlying factor that keeps people from resonating correctly with the right audience.
Good. What's the number 2 secret to raising capital for startups?
Knowing where to go. That's where we bump into a lot of people where they're successful. I've got a client right now. They're on their 3rd company. The last one they did was a $150 million exit. They probably could have used your services. So, but it's knowing where to go. Like a lot of people, I think when you watch Shark Tank or you watch, the news, whatever, you think of venture capital. And a lot of the times it's not the first source you should go to. We do a lot with high net worth individuals, family offices, those types of folks, because they're usually the seed Series A and the Series B type of a range. And how much do you need is the other kind of a big one. We have people that will project out their financials for 5 years and go, I need that number. We're like, no, you don't. Like, you need enough to get you out 12 to 18 months, hit the right milestones, grab the valuation, prove that you can execute, and going back for more capital with your existing investors or new ones is a lot easier. So those are probably the other 2 major points that we encounter a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Knowing where to go, and then and also more like saying like why to go where, because there's certain groups like venture capital are not your best bet, especially at first, and understanding what series. So there's an A, there's a B, and then how much do you really need? Again, it's probably hard because you're on different frequencies when you're in the business versus having an expert like yourself to come alongside and to guide them and help them. We call it building a capital gains exit plan. For what you do, it's like you're building a on-ramp and off-ramp and scaling with them, plan alongside of them. Is that a fair summary, Greg?
That's excellent. No, you nailed it.
Yeah, excellent. So those are just a couple secrets. What question or anything else you want to add to what you're seeing in today? Because that sounds like those are like the building blocks of the art of raising capital for startups. But what are some of the more nuanced things that are working in today's market, which, quite frankly, equity in raising capital, private equity, is harder than ever?
Well, we're seeing, it's interesting. We had our best year last year that we've ever had. And it's a lot of it is how it's positioned and knowing how to kind of circumvent the normal process that people get through. So, we get into the I guess one of the benefits of today versus say 15 years ago when I was raising money is to do the big private placements, the big business plans, that stuff that just you want to poke your eyes out, writing it all up. You don't need it, right? You need good summary, good pitch deck, good financials, good structure, good team. You need to show value, showing traction with clients, all those elements are important. And again, we're also seeing too is, venture capital is kind of dried up, not completely, but it's tapered off a little bit. If you look at, Crunchbase did an article, I think in 2021, where direct investment, venture investment was up like 96%, like right towards the end of COVID. It just exploded. It's just, so more money was going into early stage companies than ever before. It's slowed off a little bit. Private equity, investment banks, like that's not an area that we typically play in. That has slowed down a little bit. When you deal with the family offices, these are wealthy individuals, as wealthy individuals, they don't sit on their money for very long. A lot of the times they're entrepreneurs. So they're looking at moving their money around. And so to bet on the jockey in an area that they have a particular interest in is something that we're seeing. So we're seeing a lot of good traction in a sea of deal flow, especially the ones that we kind of sniff out, work with. We do a pretty intensive due diligence process. We come alongside them. We serve behind the scenes. We bring in really everything in the kitchen sink to get them to that next level. We haven't seen a slowdown at all, which has been great. We just try not to watch. We try not to watch the news.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, my comment to that too, perhaps, is for those that aren't as expert, have your expertise, right? We just got back from the Family Office Club, and it sounds like everyone's trying to raise capital for everything. We were there. In fact, that's where I think, originally met, first in Fort Lauderdale about a year ago. And anyways, went to one in Beverly Hills, and it's interesting just to hear the pitches that are as great and then the ones that are amazing, right? And so it's few and far between. And so knowing how to position, how to have, good pitch deck, good summary, showing traction to clients, hitting on like the fundamentals of what, the blocking and tackling of it sounds like that is the art of raising capital for startups. Greg Downey, everybody, this is PernamVentures.com. If you're in a startup or considering starting a new business, and have a growing business and want to scale it quicker. That is your ideal person that you serve, Greg, or walk through like who is kind of your ideal person that you might serve?
Sure. So we stay away from the cocktail napkin. Hey, I've got a big idea that's going to be the next Google. I kind of shy away from that stuff. We have done bare bone startups. They're usually ours, right? If we do something like that. So usually it's seed stage. So they've got friends and family money already in, they've put their own sweat. They've kind of vetted out their own business model. They've got the widget, they've got the market kind of figured out. They just know that they're quickly getting beyond their financial resources to scale what they need to do. So that's why I say seed to Series A. We've helped assist on capital raises and gotten involved in deals that one was 800,000. So on the low end, and one we had that we helped was 106 million. So big range in what we do. Usually, again, pre-revenue, if they're within revenue within 6 to 12 months, we can really help out. We also deal with some that are revenue generating. We have a healthcare venture right now. It's a behavioral health. They're doing 10 million in top line, 50% profit, doubling year over year. They're just so busy. They need help putting all that. They've never done an outside capital raise. It's been bootstrapped. So people that are just looking at not swallowing the whole elephant at once, or, going into a raising money, it's not the most fun thing. Like most people, it's a full-time job. It takes a lot of time. You got to kiss a lot of frogs. That's you hear a lot of that. So where we're ideal fit is for entrepreneurs that are high speed, make decisions quickly. They go, look, they understand the value of a team. And I describe this, we're that SWAT team that comes in, we do analysis. Sometimes we invest in companies. We have a portfolio of companies that we have shares in. If we can't help you, our philosophy is we can't help you. We're going to get you buttoned up and in the hands of the right people, rather than what I've been on these screening committees for other, venture groups where they just kind of pass because they're too busy. So we find there's an opportunity. If we can serve and we can help and we can make a massive impact, we'll take those clients on. And there's a way that we can engage in that respect. So kind of a broad range. If it's a Series B, they want to go, they're getting ready to go public. That's beyond kind of what we do. We can point in the right direction. Again, pre-revenue, early revenue that they have. That's kind of our sweet spot.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. And I want to dive into some like live stuff that you have going on right now, right? That you can touch on some exciting opportunities, perhaps for accredited investors. So do you want to do maybe 30 to 60 seconds on a couple of these opportunities that, the top 2 or 3 that come to mind right now? And we kind of highlight them right now. It's just going to get a feel for what you're doing and how you're doing it on live deals.
Yeah, sure. There's one that we really like. It's a 380-acre winery in Northern California. It's 35 miles south of the Bay Area, which is rare. If you know wine country, you usually get 2 hours out. But you think about, you've been in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, right? It's just to get outside the city, especially nowadays, is kind of a nice thing to do. And having a 380-acre winery that's just, that's just south. It's called Carter House Cellars. We've been working with them. They're in the middle of doing a raise. It's a $10 million raise. They've got, tons of real estate, tons of assets, winery, wine club, tons of potential with that property. It's a gem. That's one. We're also involved in medical device and orthopedics. So we have ways of, one of the companies called Genesis that we're involved in has a way literally of eliminating knee pain and about 80% of total knee replacement surgeries with a wearable technology that rewires the brain while you wear it, right? And it's you only wear it for 20, 30 minutes a day in the morning and at night. So that's a game changer. Launching that as a product later this year here in Florida with a major orthopedic group. And then another one is a pain management technology. It uses sound frequencies. So think about a TINS unit is around 100 hertz, right? It kind of just really distracts the brain from the pain. What if I told you I can deliver 20,000 hertz that you can't feel or hear, and it can reduce inflammation dramatically in like a 10-minute session, non-invasively, and dramatically speed up the healing process. So we're working with them on the capital raise, getting all their stuff together. They're financed by a family office, but they're looking for a growth round. We're helping them get into the VA. We've helped them kind of line up children's hospitals, putting together a SWAT team of executives around them. But those are really the three. We've got a dozen, but those are the ones that are immediately come to mind.
That's awesome. I love all those spaces. I'm originally from Northern California, and we would go to Napa every now and again, hang out over there. And yeah, great wine. And then the medical device that hits home. I had 2 knee surgeries, ACL surgeries for basketball. So the pain management, inflammation, all that stuff. That's incredible. And I'm wondering, like, kind of track record, right? Because what you've done has been really successful for a lot of people. Past performance not a guarantee of future results, but just in general, like, how have Perm Ventures and the stuff that you've been a part of, Greg, how have you guys done just return wise for investors coming in?
Good question. Thanks for asking. So we really have 2 sides of the house. We have the business that we've been operating since 2010, which is hands-on, tactical, big boy stuff. We do M&A, we do commercialization, but that's when people are really, we've done public companies and private companies where we come in to either fix a problem, launch a product, commercialize it, and go. Those are larger ticket type engagements, usually 6 to 12 months. I measure those as in an ROI. You got to do that in business. From what they've paid us in a cash basis to what they got back, and we've got the historicals to prove it, within 12 to 18 months, these clients are making back 20 to 30 times what they paid us. And that was 12 to 18 months. When we launched our mastermind about 18 months ago, which really is we've commercialized the due diligence process and rapidly bring companies in, triage them, fix them, get them ready for investors, and then take them out to our network. We're about 95% success rate. In the last 6 months, we've helped bring in about 260 million in term sheets. So I think we know how to pick them. And we're having a lot of fun doing that. And then on the med device side, the partners that I have, which I'm going to brag on them, their worst return was 10x. Their best return was 80x, and no losses with about 15 startups. So again, we have a very strict due diligence process. We vet it. We even go to market, talk to potential acquirers before we even get involved. But that not guarantees, but let's say it dramatically mitigates the risk from an investor standpoint of knowing that we've thoroughly done an examination, and we won't get involved with a company and bring in capital unless we know we can move the needle from an operational standpoint, from a strategic standpoint, and stay engaged, whether it's an advisor, board member, whatever. We're not the type of people that say, hey, just go raise me money and get out of my way. It's like, no, like, we've got plenty of other stuff to do. We've got a very packed pipeline. But it's, those are our returns on a historical basis.
Phenomenal. Greg Downey, everybody, with PernamVentures.com, PernamVentures.com. Greg, let's shift a little bit into we're talking these big numbers, these big exits. We met just about 12 months ago, right? And you hadn't heard about the deferred sales trust, right? And you had a chance to get to digest it over this time period. I'm curious, like, A, what are your thoughts on it at this point? B, how do you see how it best fit for the people that you're serving, right? Even the deals that you're doing for your exits in the future.
I think it's, one, it was an eye opener when you kind of explained the whole thing to me and what you do with your business. I think founders need to be learning about this stuff sooner than later, to be honest with you. We work with our clients and we even get into employment agreements. People are always wondering, scratching their head going, why should I have an employment agreement if I'm on the operating agreement? It's my company. So you get bought, it's not your company anymore. So you better have an employment agreement that has the words and the exit language that you want, the for cause to terminate, all that type of good stuff. But even at that stage, that's where I think someone should engage someone like you to understand, as they're kind of marching towards this exit, what they need to be thinking about. Because as you know, is how you plot now think about, how a rudder guides a ship. Like, you can be 1 degree off and the next morning wake up and you're miles off course. That's something that I think our clients could definitely benefit from, because we're all marching towards exits. Like, these aren't, 20-year holds. These are, 3 to 5 year, type exit strategies. So yeah, I'm glad we got connected, because you kind of shined the light on a structure and a methodology that I'm glad I know about now, and all my clients will know about it.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. And if you want to learn more about what we do and how we do it, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can also check out the book called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. And we wrote it for you, the entrepreneur, right? You, the business owner, you, the real estate owner, or cryptocurrency millionaire or billionaire, to be able to exit your wealth in a way that you can defer the capital gains taxes and then use it to start up and be seed capital for the next deal, be passive or active, give you total flexibility without having to move to Puerto Rico or give it all away to charity or be stuck in a 1031 exchange. It can be very, very frustrating. It's called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. Check out that on Amazon, or just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, Mr. Greg Downey, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you make sure to tell yourself to do?
Be easy on yourself. I think we have the tendency to be our worst critics, and getting up out of bed, pushing yourself to the limit. It's just stuff that we got to do every day. But I think it's having patience, surrounding yourself with good mentors, good advisors is absolutely key. And then know that you're going to make mistakes along the way in entrepreneurship, and just to be able to pick yourself up and go at it again. But go easy on yourself. Don't be lazy. But the key that that I learned, I think, unfortunately in my 40s, was the value of mentors. I picked up bits and pieces along the way, just from different entrepreneurs and successful business leaders, but wasn't anybody that was really hands-on working with me side by side. That's what we do with Perm. And so it's nice to be able to kind of flip that disadvantage to an advantage for our clients and our portfolio companies. But it's really humble yourself, get out of your own way, surround yourself with really good people, and realize that you're going to make mistakes, and just try not to make them twice.
Awesome. Number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
The Unseen Realm. Michael Heisner. I don't know if you checked that book out, but I know you're a believer, but it is a eye opener. They go into Michael Heisner goes into the odd passages in scripture, Genesis 6, some of these other areas, but it's been one of those things where I'm past the milk and cookies. I want to go deep into the rabbit hole. And it really makes me have a whole new appreciation for scripture and kind of God's plan, and helps kind of make sense of the craziness that we're in right now.
Awesome. Question number 3. What are you most curious about right now?
Probably funds, right? We've been toying with, do we do our own fund? Do we not do our own fund? We just take deals on and kind of syndicate it with friends and kind of pass the hat. But we built basically a fund backwards without going out and raising 100 million. We've got a nice basket of about 50 million in companies, and it's growing. So kind of weighing the pros and the cons. We're doing the same thing. We're surrounding ourselves with smarter people that been there, done that, and trying to weigh out those things. So, do we do a fund? Do we wait? That's kind of what is on our hot list right now.
Excellent. The biggest or best leadership quote, advice, or theme that you strive to live by?
Gosh, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
I like it. I like it. It's short and sweet, baby.
Yep.
Number one way you're using Chat GPT?
More creative structures on writing. I've used it a few times. I've seen it used by some of my colleagues, but I'm just scratching the surface. I need to be probably more entrenched in that. But yeah, just seeing if we're pretty good writers and marketeers of what we do. So, getting that extra polish that ChatGPT could do I've been impressed by it.
Awesome. Second to last question. The big domino, right? If you can knock over one big domino that make the biggest difference for your company or for the clients and partners you're serving, what would that be? And what's your plan to get there?
Gosh, really kind of, I've been very hands-on, right? And that's where it's a good thing and a bad thing. So we're scaling Perm as fast as we possibly can. it's learning kind of when to let go. It's kind of taking my own advice, right? It's surround yourself with good people and listen to them. And we have really, really good people, but it's how to scale rapidly without losing the quality of deliverables is what we're focused on. So if we haven't had any issues, but I've got an executive coach. We've got all this type of stuff to kind of build that infrastructure. So I am taking my own medicine, but that's a focus.
Awesome. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, building the business you've built, and doing the things you've done, how do you best stay centered in your values and then stay encouraged to charge forward to reach even higher heights?
Well, just trying to have a structured, like, weekends are off limits, right? I don't want to do meetings. I don't want to be looking at email. Want to go catch a sunset with my wife on the beach, ride bikes, work out in the morning, like having, I'm coming from a long line of workaholics, both my father and my stepfather. So I've got that kind of working for me and against me. So it's the structure of getting up early, hitting the gym. I do a mixed martial art. I do a Krav Maga. So I kind of joke that there's a special place in the brain that only violence can scratch. So that's helpful. Sunsets, getting natural sunlight, grounding, all that stuff, I think allows us all to operate at an elite performance. That's what I'm really into too, is how do we kind of, I want to tell a health hack, right? But it's I've been in longevity. I've been in regenerative medicine. It's proactive. Proactive performance is way better than reactive. So you see these older folks that are now into stem cells. Like, well, there's certain applications where it works well. Proactive, like the stuff I just mentioned, what you put in your pie hole, what you put in here is critical to longevity and optimal performance. So that's the stuff that I try not to veer from. I'm pretty disciplined about it. I still put in, 12-hour days, 15-hour days if you talk to my wife. But yeah, that's the things that keep us going.
Greg Downey, it's been more than a pleasure to spend some more time with you. I know our listeners are better for it, and they're smarter for how to raise capital for startups and just grow companies, and just to be a leader for if they're building their real estate or investments all together. For our listeners who want to get, by the way, I want to thank you for being on the show too, and sharing so much with us, and being a friend now and being connected. It's just really it's an honor to be able to spend time with you on a consistent basis. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, what's the one best place for them to find you?
The best way is going to our website. So it's Purim Ventures. So it's PURIM as in Mary, ventures.com. I'm Scotch Irish. Purim is a Jewish holiday. It's one of the most festive. It's actually coming up here in next week or so. But PurimVentures.com is a great way to get a hold of us. And there's a way to contact us, schedule a meeting, but that's where I'd send anybody.
Fantastic. Thanks, Greg, for being on the show. Also, thank our listeners for listening to this episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions Podcast. We're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets podcast and YouTube channels as well, where you can find us, shooting the video here, as well as having the podcast on all of the Apple and the Spotify and the different places like that. So thank you for wherever you are consuming the content. Please always rate, review, subscribe, or do something to show some love for us. We appreciate that. That helps the algorithm. It helps more people to get a chance to know people like Greg. Remember, not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax referral strategy such as the deferred sales trust and/or getting with someone like Greg Downey to help you scale your business and go to the next level are amazing ways for you to create and preserve more wealth. Again, please check out the book as well, Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan, and we will talk to everyone